this meeting of the Fayette County Council to order. Everyone rise and we'll have the pledge to the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll begin with nominations for President of Council.
I make a motion to nominate Shirley Wise as President.
Second.
Any other nominations?
I move to nominate Jim Wolf.
I'll decline. Thank you.
You seconded that, Russ?
Yes.
All those in favor of Shirley Wise for President, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
It's rotation. Get my seat back.
I have to talk to Mark about that. Okay.
No.
Huh?
Do I hear a nomination for Vice President?
I nominate Mark Brockman.
Second?
I second it.
Any other nominations? Moved and seconded. Mark Brockman for Vice President. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I guess now we can go down to Debbie's agenda. Next thing on the list is the appointment of our council's attorney.
Make a motion for, that we hire A.J. Bryson.
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion? I think we had Jim and Dale and several others have been in communication.
I think he'd make a good attorney, and I've talked to Alan. Alan recommended him, so if Alan says he's good, it's all right for me.
Dale, I think you were involved with that?
Yes, I'm one of the ones that met with Andrew, and he's partnered with John Baker, who is well experienced in government matters and can mentor him if he needs it. And Alan Demkovich has offered to assist him along the way. And I don't think the learning curve will be very long for Andrew, so I think he'll work out just fine.
Unless you want to use it.
Good to hear. Any other discussion, comments? Well, I think we have a motion, a second, that we appoint Andrew Bryson for council attorney. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Andrew, you come up and sit by me.
Okay.
Feel sorry for you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And did I hear AJ
Yes.
as opposed to Andrew? Which do you prefer?
Either is fine. My parents call me AJ, or anybody who knows me calls me AJ. So, but I have to sign documents, Andrew. So.
Thank you.
Thanks. Welcome aboard.
Yes, welcome. We appreciate your enthusiasm. Okay. Number 4, minutes to the previous meeting. Has everyone had an opportunity to
Did
review?
everyone catch my typo? What page was that, Mark?
The second page.
And see, they said you didn't read these. I do have a corrected copy of that.
Give us a hint and we'll...
I had,
On the, next to the last paragraph, it says Councilman.
and then I had
Wolf,
motion,
strike
and then I
motion.
have Wolf, so.
Okay. So do I hear a motion to,
Yeah, it says Councilman motion. We'll
Oh,
yeah,
strike-
that's
just
the
strike motion out.
okay. I zoomed right over that. So, do we hear a motion to
I move to
approve
accept the
as,
minutes.
as corrected?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried. Item number 5, council member board appointments. Debbie, did you have a copy? Are there others? I want to make sure I'm looking the same as your copy.
Well, and then I went in and looked up some minutes of the January meeting, and they remain the same for the January meeting, so.
Okay,
So
so I think then
is-
mine looks just like yours. Shall we start at the top? We're looking for different terms for different appointments, but the very first one is the Area Plan Commission. One citizen appointment by council.
I make a motion, we appoint Ed Harrell. I talked to Ed about it today. He said that he's involved in the
Bicentennial.
bicentennial. So the first 6 months, he'll be kind of off on, he'll try to attend every meeting, but after that, first 6 months, he'll be fine. He would like to continue in that position.
Okay. The next one down is,
are we going to do, are you going to do each motion one at a time, or how are you going to do that?
Can.
we can?
Because he had made a motion,
Sure.
I was just questioning.
Okay,
Yeah,
I see.
mean, yeah, okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. One council member appointment, 4-year term, Shirley Wise. I think that expiration date, if it were a 4-year term, would be December of 14, I believe, unless there's anybody that would like to take on that challenge.
I'll take that one.
You want to move into the,
Since I'm in building and that's what I do as a business, I would take on that
okay,
area plan.
so do I hear a motion?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so Mark. Moving down, the community development. 2 people appointed by council to serve through the elected term. Jim and Russ?
Well, if they
Were we on before?
If they were on it before and they're supposed to stay through their elected term, then I guess they're still on it.
So we'll change that expiration date then
To
to,
14.
well, now, Jim, we should welcome returning Jim and Russ and ask them to continue or not.
I don't have one of them sheets in front of me, but what's the terms? Oh, 12 is, okay, the terms are up, okay.
It said to serve through elected term.
We still got that board, community development board? I mean,
Ask
are we
this
still
lady
good?
right here.
Huh?
Not really.
I didn't think so.
I will be on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me
Go ahead and put us on that baby.
It's a vote of
Go ahead and put us on
confidence,
that baby.
Go with that, baby.
That's kind of like.
So do I understand then this community development board is no longer
It's defunct.
in
isn't it?
service?
Pretty much defunct.
Okay.
So that's out.
So we lost that one. What'd that pay, Jimmy?
100,000 a year, I think.
That's
Well, that might free you up for some other challenges, right?
probably the reason why we was on struggle with, because we've never met.
Next one down on the list is the Council of Aging and Aged. It's appointment by council for a 2-year term.
Russ, that'd be one for you. You're pretty aged.
Who's the oldest on council?
Not
We
me.
should take that.
I do, if I can, appointment by council.
We didn't do that last
Carol
year.
Russell is on that board. I think she would be willing to serve another 2 years probably.
Okay.
I mean, because I sit on that board is why I say that.
Okay, okay. Well, I think when we have willing volunteers, that's a good, do I hear a nomination?
I'll move that we appoint her as the nominee, or,
Carol Russell.
yeah, Carol Russell.
Second? By Mark. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next one down is the Fayette County Economic Development Board. This is one appointment by council for a one-year term.
Shirley, you want that one, don't you?
Well, I thought you might want to try something different, and I'm very interested in that particular
Right now, I'm
organization.
pretty busy in my business, don't have time to do it, so we'll put you right with Pete.
Well, do I hear a
Get that in a motion,
A motion?
Wolfie.
Y'all make a motion.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Fayette County Alcoholic Beverage Board, one appointment by council for a one-year term. David Job is there.
He wants to stay, I heard.
I heard from him that he'd also like to stay, and so,
I'll move to reappoint.
okay, thank you, Mark.
Second.
Mark N. and Mark B. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Next one down is the library board. We have two appointments there, but is that,
Actually, well, those are, I'm currently serving on the library board, Shirley, and my appointment there doesn't expire until the end of 2013, the end of this year.
okay,
And so council actually has no other appointments to make this year.
okay. What about, are you Norman Duffy's?
Who went in his place?
I don't remember who went in Norman Duffy's place. Does anyone else recall that?
The,
We had two appointments by council. Wait, we do know.
yes, you do.
Mrs.,
You'll get it.
I probably won't. We got a letter. We each of us got a letter indicating that she would be willing to serve. Pardon?
Never.
Yes.
Mary Alice
Mary
Dever?
Alice Dever.
Okay.
So,
So when does her term expire?
Hers was a 4-year appointment, so
Okay.
her term will expire,
December of 2016? Or,
yeah, I think it's 2016. I'd have to look at the list to be sure. All that's on file in the clerk's office.
Well, if she went in last year, I guess it would be 15.
so, could we have a motion confirming both of those appointments
So
To-
moved.
that are in existence? And then 2013 would be your expiration date,
Yes.
and 2016 for,
As far as
Mrs.
the
Dever.
library board goes though, Shirley, there is no action to be taken today.
At this moment, I mean.
Yeah, there's-
do they meet quarterly, monthly,
I wish.
or whenever there's something?
We spend enough time together that we're beginning to not like each other, I'll put it that way.
Debbie, you have
I'm
this-
only joking about that.
Okay.
but, yeah,
This spreadsheet, maybe we could put a new column or an additional column
Print
on
that
here indicating how frequently
They meet.
they meet. That might help somebody understand what the time commitment would be involved. Sometimes you get more than you bargain for.
It's been a busy year at the library.
Well, but I understand we have a new director.
We just welcomed our new director to her position this morning. We have a new library director. Her name is Anne Marie Short. And within the very near future, Bob, I don't know if it will be you or someone from the newspaper, will be invited to a public reception to introduce Anne Marie Short to the community. And she's originally from near Richmond area, and she's certainly no stranger to this area. So when we get that set up, why, we'll give you a heads up on that.
Well, thank you for the update. That's good news. The next one on the list is the Fayette Regional Health System Board.
We didn't have an appointment to that.
You know, Charlie Brochin was there, and in essence, that is also a defunct, because that has been replaced
Okay.
by a board there at the hospital, so. Fayette County Fair and Buildings and Grounds Committee, one appointment by council, 1 year
Madam
term.
President,
Pardon?
just looking over the next 3 items,
Mhm.
there's 2 people, and there shouldn't those, they're all pertaining to the fair.
Yes.
Shouldn't we have all 3 of those under one? Because, you know, the building
Mhm.
4-H, it's all under the same thing. Did you talk about building the same thing?
Mark, you're currently on the 2 of those 3. Is that something that you would agree?
Yeah,
Or, you know, do we have other discussion?
somebody else wants to.
Is that something that's of interest? I know that you, something near and dear to your heart.
Move Mark.
We have a motion maybe, Mark,
Or Ken?
for all 3?
Yep.
Yes.
And would you
No,
be
yeah.
willing to accept? Okay, how about a second?
I'll second it.
Who made that motion?
Russ made the
Russ.
motion.
Okay. And who seconded it? You?
Both of those. It don't matter to me or
Don't matter.
Mark Blum.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so that's Mark for Fair Buildings and Grounds Committee, the Extension Board, and the 4-H Council. That brings us down to the Economic Development Commission, which is inactive. So we can go on past that one.
Huh? Economic Development Commission?
Economic Development
Commission.
Commission, which is different.
That's the redevelopment commission, you know.
Yeah, I think it, that was typed in.
Making it redevelopment, is that an active organization?
As far as I know, the redevelopment commission is not active, am I right?
It's defunct right now. I was on that, and it's basically, unless we get another project.
Just appointed
we-
as needed,
we
I
don't need
believe.
one.
Okay, okay. So we'll put as needed
Right.
and move on. Next on our list is the Fayette County E911 Advisory Board. One appointment by council for a 1-year term.
Well, I'm currently there, Shirley. They've asked me to stay, and I told them that's up to council.
Well, I'll make
So-
a motion that you stay, Mr. Strong.
I'll second that, yeah, we'll all second that one.
All in favor?
Thanks, Russ, again.
I didn't say, he seconded, but we are, I'm agreeing with him.
Okay, thanks to both of you.
All in favor? Is this
I
unanimous?
have 4 of them on that.
Thank you. Okay, Community Corrections Advisory Board. One appointment by council, 4-year term, Russ Seidel.
He's still on there.
And you're
He's
still
on there
there
for
for
2
2 more years?
Russ, have you ever been to one of those meetings?
I was with one of them, yeah. Well, no, wasn't Billy, I was at one of them, wasn't I? When you was president of it or whatever. Yeah, I've been there. I know where it's at.
So you are good with continuing in that capacity, or do we have any other?
But somebody wants you,
Volunteers?
I'm carrying a full load now.
oh,
Russ.
okay. I'll give it to you.
I wouldn't want to cheat you out of an opportunity.
Thank you.
Okay, next down.
That's one of them paying jobs.
Fayette County First Aid Unit, Rate Review and Revisions Committee, Mark Brockman. I have you down.
Yeah, that's fine.
Keep it.
And
Was I on that this year? We didn't meet.
Never met. I
never
know
met?
Well, you was president, so you should have called a meeting.
I have your name down, but
Yeah. Well, I'll continue with that if we get together.
okay, any other nominations for, or volunteers?
Which committee is that, Shirley?
That is the Fayette County First Aid Unit Rate Review and Revisions.
Okay.
So the rate review and revisions.
I think Mark's done fine.
I must have, we haven't had any trouble.
Good, that's good, that's good. Okay, then the next one down.
Would that need a motion?
So, do we want to make a motion to continue, Mark B?
I'll move to continue.
Yeah, I'll
second?
second. I'll second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so change that date, ending date to 2013, right? Fayette County Tax Abatement Advisory Committee, council president or designee, one-year term. Ron was there.
Might as well take it,
Nominate
Mr.
Jim
President.
Jim Wolf. He's not on any of these other committees yet, so he's the only
Yeah.
one.
You're right up here.
Do I hear a second? All in favor? Jim
Aye.
Wolf?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim. Okay, Fayette County Foundation, 2 appointments by council to 4-year terms. Looks like Barb White is still there, was there till this month, and then Mark Bamer until January of 14. Does anyone know or speak to Barb White? Would she be willing to continue in that capacity? Or have anybody else that might? Those are appointments, they don't have to be council members.
Leave them on there. I'll make
I will,
that.
She's on
I'll
until 13.
make it a point to call Barb
Okay.
White and see if she's interested in continuing. Do you have any other suggestions?
No.
Anyone?
When does
They-
her term expire?
Her term expired January of 13. It doesn't say
Okay.
whether it's the first or the end, so Mark Bamer's has another year. So they were 4-year terms, but I will confirm with Barbara that she'd like to continue. That brings us down to Fayette County Emergency Management Board. 1 council member, 2-year term, Ronald Cox.
Shirley, you can have that one.
You're so generous, Jim. Do I hear a nomination?
I'll make motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next, we've got the Fayette County Solid Waste Board. 1 appointment by council, Mark Brockman. Have you been,
He's still on there, but in
Yes.
14.
oh, till 2014. So you're still good.
Well, I think I am too.
That's a 4-year appointment, okay. Next, Fayette County Housing Board. 6 appointments by council to 4-year terms. Debbie, I'm looking at Floyd Nutty, expired August of 12. David Gettinger, December of 12. Kent Vaughn, August of 11. John Bolander, August of 11.
Last year, I don't remember.
Tim Rose, August of 11, and Donald Stiver, December of 12, just, so he would have just recently.
Oh, no.
I have a suggestion maybe to get a hold of the Housing Board Director and confirm these dates and who's currently serving,
Okay.
and then table that until next month.
Okay, do I hear a motion to that effect?
I would so move.
Is there anyone in particular that wants to go talk to, who is the Housing Board representative?
I can't think of her name off the top of my head.
I will take that on if you can give me a name and a phone number,
Okay.
and we can table this one until next meeting.
For some reason, Shirley, it seems like we have made some appointments on that
And those
in
weren't all
last
right.
year, and it seems like the expiration dates on this sheet are not
They're
correct.
not right. I firmly believe they're
I
wrong.
think you're right. I think you're
I
right.
just, carried over whatever we had available, and I know that's not right.
Okay, well, we'll take that on. Put this one on again for next month. Do we have everyone doing lots of things? So we can check that everybody feel good about what they've been volunteered to do. Move on to mail.
I don't have any.
No mail? Anyone else? New mail? Questionable? Number 7 is our county attorney. Did we get a copy of the agenda for both?
Yes.
Okay,
I gave it to you this morning.
That's right.
good. So, again, welcome.
Thank you.
And I don't, hopefully you haven't received any new, I'm sure there's some updates maybe that we'll be checking into along the way. I know that,
We're just funneling a lot of information to him
Good.
on some things that are ongoing.
the ones that
so-
are ongoing. Okay, good. All right. Item number 8, reports. Commissioner representative? We see,
I talked to Barton this afternoon, and he questioned, whether, I said, well, we didn't do much this morning that he would need to report on, so.
and it was just a matter of an organizational meeting, and the commissioners again appointed Andrew as their legal representative as well.
Yes, they did.
Then 8B is our EDG representative. Pete, do you have some updates for us?
Sure. I think you all should have a copy of the report. And I'll just speak to those areas that are working projects. Project Neptune, we hope to have resolution on by the end of the first quarter.
By when?
Into the first quarter.
Thank you.
Project Jet, we're requesting board approval for 2 people to go down and meet with the principal. He's been so busy that he hasn't been able to come here. His mother does live in the community, and he seems to be focused on getting here. It's just a matter of him being so busy that he can't travel. So we're going to go down hopefully and meet with him. Project Lawn, if any of you have been up on the north end of town, you'll see that they have broken ground and are starting construction on that project. Project Flush is like Project Jet. The people that are heading that up in Cincinnati have assured us that they want to move the business here, but they're so far behind on their production that they can't break away and stop production to move. EB5 continues to work. Pramco should be resolved.
I hope by mid-February.
Yeah, the paperwork was sent to Mr. Baker, EEG's attorney, and so hopefully that will be resolved. And Project R we continue to work on. And that's, for those of you who don't know, that's the project that's interested in the Kmart building. Any questions? Yes, Jim?
Is Carbon Motors gonna build a new car in Fayette County?
I have had no personal contact with Carbon Motors or any of their employees. So I would offer that your guess is as good as mine.
I had to ask that, Pete.
Well, you know what? I wish they would. I mean,
Yeah,
but anything else? Oh,
Along that same line, can you comment on the lease agreement that Carbon Motors had with the city? What is the current status of that?
as I understand it, that agreement runs through March 31st, at which time it's subject to either renewal with the city, or if the new owner has taken possession of the building by then, they'd have to work out a new lease arrangement with the new building owner. I think the terms, as I understand it, of any lease after the 31st will be significantly different than they are today.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for Pete?
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Number 9, old business. Things carrying over from last year, last meeting.
I don't know if any, Shirley.
Jim, anything we were
Nope.
hanging? Then we can move on to new business. First on the list is our Public Defenders Board, Ralph Eldridge.
Apologize, I didn't make enough copies, but
Debbie already has one. So does Andrew, so we're okay with that. Share with Mark. Good, share. Share that. And then share that. If I get one of these, maybe I made an
Take
extra
another one
of
if
these.
you've got an extra one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ralph Eldridge, and I'm chairman of the Fayette County Public Defender Board. And I've been a member of the board. I guess I've been chairman of the board since its inception in 1993. But it's been probably 5 years since I've been before the council or the commissioners to just give an update on what's happening with that board. I'm not here for any money.
That's a good thing.
So that's always good. First I'm going to talk about I gave you a copy of the current plan, and at the back of the plan, the 2 pages at the very end is a sample contract that we use. The purpose of the Public Defender Board is basically twofold. First of all, to make sure that the public defender system in Fayette County is in compliance with the plan that has been established, and to modify the plan if need be to modify the plan according to state law. For example, we recently had to amend this plan last year because the minimum rate for assigned counsels had to be $70 an hour, and ours at $60. So what we did is we just amended the language to say that whatever the state says the minimum is, that's what it will be, and that way we don't ever have to amend it for that reason. So we do that, and then also we assign the contracts to those individual attorneys who are going to be on the contract system. And as of right now, and the last 5 years, I believe, the budget has been $300,000 for public defenders. $200,000 of that has been for contracted counsel, and $100,000 of that has been for assigned counsel. Now, prior to 2008, from 1993 to 2008, the county had a system that was entirely assigned counsel. And during the years of 2000 and above, the costs kind of got out of control. And this body asked the board to do something about it. And I know that Richie Flum at the time joined the board, and he and I and the other members of the board came up with the contracted plan. And I think the last time I met with this body, I mentioned that I felt like that the costs would be modified, that they would be controlled, and that they would become very predictable. And that is what has happened, and I'll show that in just a moment with these charts. But the county has a hybrid system of assigned counsel and contracted counsel. There are 6 contracted counsel. 4 of the contracted counsel have full contracts. And a full contract is $40,000 per year. A half contract is $20,000 per year. We contract counsels for everything from misdemeanors up to B felonies. A felonies have to be assigned counsel. Any capital cases must be assigned counsel.
So that's the other reason assigned counsel may occur is if there are conflicts. Since we have only 6 attorneys on the contract system, and there's anywhere from 3 to 6 other counsels that are usually used by the judges for assigned situations, there can be times where there is conflicts. Conflicts can occur in a small county, you know, where you've got family members or that somebody worked for you or something like that. So the judges have to find someone out of the county. So this plan was adopted then the current plan you have was adopted in 2008 and modified just for some basic, very simple language last year. Now if you would just look at the charts that I gave you, and there are 3 charts that I want you to look at. First of all, the total cost, net cost. Now, as you know, the reason why this system was put into place was because it brought, number one, it brought reimbursement up to market levels around the state so that the judges could assign counsel for the indigent. And they wouldn't have to go out with a cup in their hand and beg people to please take this case. And then secondly, so that in assigning market rates to the attorneys, the state would reimburse us 40% for eligible cases. Ineligible cases are usually just juvenile. A couple of misdemeanors categories are not eligible, but usually about 75 to 80% of the cases are eligible and are then reimbursed at 40% at a 40% rate. So it is a very, very good arrangement for the county, because those people who truly are indigent have good qualified counsel that will represent them, and the county then has a predictable cost system that's financially stable, so that you can predict its costs in this program. And this first chart shows that from the 4th quarter of 2009 until the 3rd quarter of this year, which is the last report we have, you can see that the costs have been very, very stable. The total costs are the blue line, and the net costs are the red line. And this table, this chart is inverted because everything that goes up is good and everything that goes down is bad, right? So the costs are lower. We want showing them as going, the line's going up, which is good. The last time the costs were really, really high, and I think that's when I came to the council, was in the 4th quarter of 2009. Many of the Flanagan case was being paid, as well as a lot of the drug cases were coming through. Just a huge numbers of cases were going through this, and very expensive cases too. But I think I told you then that the costs would get under control, because as cases came into the system that were under the contract model, they would be predictable costs, and those costs would level off. And that's exactly what's happened. Now, for the last 4 quarters, and really for probably 7 of the last 8 quarters, the actual expenditures have actually been less than budgeted. And that's the total expenditures, not net. So per budget, this program's actually running a surplus. Okay? And I know Debbie mentioned this morning that the surplus funds come back into the general fund, and so we're actually spending less than the county budgets gross, and then as a net number, we're spending even less. So that's a very, very positive thing. It allows you to predict the costs, and it allows us to do a lot of cases for a low cost too, because the second chart that it's labeled cases, the title is cases, shows that the caseload has actually increased over the last 5 quarters, but the costs have not. I mean, when something goes down, it's more cases. We want less cases in the county, not more. So a down line means that's bad. We don't want more cases. Andrew might, but we don't. So there's been more cases, but the costs have remained stable. And that's what the system does. It processes those cases and gets them in, gets them out. One of the things that Judge Ertl does in his court is he keeps an assigned counsel attorney in the court on whatever big day he has, so that a defendant can have access to an attorney right then and there, and he doesn't have to assign someone. And many times cases get resolved right then and there. And so we've got a system now that's really disposing of cases a lot better than it did 5 years ago. What these charts also show is that we're really running an efficient court, at least financially. So I would commend, I'd commend our judges, Judge Butch and Judge Ertl, that at least from a financial, from this element of the finances, I don't have any idea about her other finances or Judge Ertl's other finances. But from this standpoint, they're running a very efficient court. And so that's a good thing too, because we do want to give, I want to see that those who are truly indigent do have good counsel. But I don't want to bankrupt the county to do it either. Excuse me. The last chart is types of counsel payments. The big blue bar is the contracted number. So that's $50,000 every quarter. Totals $200,000 a year. But what's interesting is that from September of 2010 through today, you can see that with one exception there, the red bar has come down every single quarter. What that means is the assigned counsels, the assigned counsel cases, the appointed counsel cases have become less and less. So what that means is we're controlling costs better, we're running more cases through the contracted system, and there's fewer A felonies, which is a good thing too. We don't want more A felonies, we want less A felonies. So that's a little bit of an overview. We meet quarterly. Dale Lanning is another member of the board with me, and Commissioner's representative is going to be Commissioner Bedore. And we meet quarterly when we go over the report that Debbie's office puts out, and Sharon Lane does a great job of getting this report out on time. Of course, it's public record. It's about 12 pages long, and it shows exactly where the money goes and who's being paid based on their contract and assigned counsel, any extraneous charges for witnesses and tests and all those kinds of other things in there too. One caveat is that this past year, the Indiana Public Defender Commission raised the rate from $60 to $70 for appointed counsel. I got a letter last week that suggested that a hearing is going to be held in March that is going to determine whether or not the Indiana Public Defender Commission ought to pass a standard that would require counties to pay their contracted counsel at the same rate of their deputy prosecutors. And they're asking for comment. Personally, I think it would be a disaster. It would really be difficult. It would be difficult because I don't think deputy prosecutors are paid at a uniform rate. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think they're paid at uniform rates across the state. So that means the Public Defender Commission, the local Public Defender Commissioner, would have a lot more work to do. I mean, how do we determine whether what formula is used? I don't know. To me, it would be very, very difficult to implement, and the current system is complicated enough. It took me about 4 years to understand it, with the caseload standards and all that other kind of stuff. So I sure hope they don't do that, because I think it will raise costs and will just make things a little more complicated. But that hearing is going to be held in March of this year. I think that's it. Be happy to entertain any questions that any of the councilmen or ladies have.
Ralph, as I recall, we appropriated for 2013 $200,000 for
Contract.
Contracts.
contract.
But you cut the budget on the others.
But on this,
Appointed council.
looking at these charts, it doesn't, at first glance, it doesn't seem like $200,000 will get us through 2013.
Not once you add appointed council, no. It's right at 300,000. It's been a little under 300,000 as an average. So you will probably need 300,000 overall. Unless nobody gets arrested in the,
Dale, I believe that Judge Myrtle reduced his request from 50, they usually have 50,000 in each court's budget, and Judge Myrtle reduced his request from 50,000 to 25,000. I think maybe in part that what Ralph said they were doing, having an attorney there in case someone needed and they didn't have to. But Judge Butch asked for 50,000 and you reduced that to 25,000 also. Not you, but the council as a
Yeah,
whole
okay.
During budget.
during budget.
That was in addition to the $200,000 we appropriated for pauper attorney fees.
Yes,
For the contractor.
Okay,
right.
so it'll be close.
Yeah, you may have to do an additional, probably in circuit court in the future.
So the new, the 2013 budget went to 250 as opposed to 300?
well, it's never been as low as 250.
Okay.
It's
If
been
you
actually
count-
to two, yeah. it went
If you
to
count the
250.
reimbursement, it might be.
Well,
but-
what they budgeted.
Budgeted.
Because they had 200,000 in the contracted, and then each court had 50,000 budgeted, and they reduced that appropriation during budget.
Well, you may have to revisit.
Yeah.
What kind of reimbursement do we get, Ralph?
We get 40%.
Okay, so what kind of reimbursement, what kind of money did we get back last year?
We're normally getting back at least 20,000 a quarter.
20,000 a quarter?
Sometimes it's more. I mean, obviously,
So we're using that 20,000 plus the 200,000, right? I mean, when we're getting 200,000, we're getting reimbursement back, so we're still using that 20, 40, 60, 80, 4 quarters. So we're getting 80,000 back from the state too, right? So that's 280,000 there,
but
plus other.
I mean, I defer to Debbie on this, but that just goes into the general fund.
It goes into the general fund as revenue. It doesn't necessarily mean that that money gets reappropriated on top of what
No,
you
but
appropriated.
what I'm saying
for
is
the
when we're
first
down to
year.
that $200,000, then we got that other, there's 80,000 coming back from the state for that year on pauper attorney contracts. So basically we got 280,000. Unless we're using, of course, we're probably using it for something else.
And you know what? We will need to adjust that because that had been coming back into county general, but you have been paying those contracts out of county general. You moved that over in the 2013 budget to pay it out of the COIT funds. So that would really be reimbursed to that fund.
Otherwise, we're gonna take it out of the general.
Yeah, you know.
Ralph, the public hearing that's going to be held in March, are you going to attend that?
Well, that's in the middle of my tax season, so I doubt that I'll attend it, but I do plan on writing a letter for public comment. I mean, they're soliciting public comment, especially from local boards. So I will express my dissatisfaction with that arrangement, but I probably will not attend the meeting. I don't know how their hearings are arranged. I don't know if they allow for public comment or not.
Yes. Well, if they do standardize those rates, and like deputy prosecutors, that stands to cost us potentially a lot more money, doesn't it?
I think so. Yeah, I think it could cost a lot more money, yes. The problem is that right now, the contracted cases involve such a wide range of different types of cases. And there already is a standard, it's called Standard J, in the Indiana Public Defender Commission's compilation of standards, which was, I think, last updated 4 or 5 years ago. But there's already a standard for the case load that you are allowed to put on a contracted attorney. That's basically what the judges send to the Supreme Court every quarter. And that's a copy that Sharon has in her office. There's a copy there of the cases that each attorney has had, and whether the type of case, whether it's a B or a C or a D or a misdemeanor, determines how many of those kinds of cases they're allowed to take. So now, if you tie that to some kind of a quantitative standard, a monetary standard, I just don't know how you can come up with it. I don't know how you can come up with it. It's going to be complicated.
It seems
So I hope
to
they
be,
don't do it.
yeah, it seems to be very similar to the situation before the state standardized the salaries for probation officers. And when the state standardized salaries for probation officers, that certainly cost counties like us a lot more money, others perhaps less. But it stopped the turnover of employment in probation offices, but at an expense. There was a price to pay for that.
Yes. Well, I've not had any of our contracted attorneys come to me and say, you know, I'm just paid too little. There have been people drop out of the system, but then there's been others come in. And the situation that existed before 2008 was that many times the attorneys were not being paid for 6, 8, 9 months for the casework that they've done. Now they're paid in advance.
Even amount, they can
even
bank
amount.
on that, yeah.
Every month, and they're paid in advance, and so they're tickled to death because they're paid on time. See, and so I've not had one single, and I know all these attorneys personally, and I've not had one single attorney say, you know, I'm just not paid enough. I mean, obviously everybody would like to be paid more, but I've never heard anybody say, I'm not paid enough.
Well, and then in return, they feel obligated to be there and to provide the services.
I think since Rouse took over, and he's right back 5 or 6 years ago, that this thing was a total disaster, and they weren't getting paid. But since he's took over and took a hold of it, it's 125%, a lot better than what it was. It was just nothing there. Really weren't getting paid. The bills were being held.
Well, then do I understand that anyone, not just yourself, could attend, but other public taxpayers in general could attend and pass on their feelings, whether how good or bad?
You mean at the March meeting in the state?
Is it a particular committee meeting for those taking this up?
It's the Indiana Public Defender Commission.
Okay.
And I actually don't even know how many members they have, but it's on their website, and the meeting and then who's on that board.
So, but you do intend to respond?
I'm going to respond, yeah.
Any other questions or comments? And what are you asking the council for? This is pretty much just a report to confirm that things are
I'm not
going
asking you
much
for anything
better.
tonight.
And we thank you.
I got a question for Debbie. Debbie, that money that comes back from the state, can't that be put in a separate fund? So then the council only has to come up with possibly another $20,000 instead of that being thrown into the general fund and they get spent on something else? Can't we do that?
Well, since it's paid out of the general fund, that's why it is reimbursed back to the general fund.
But you have it as a separate line item every time, how much comes back from the
The
state?
revenue,
Yes.
it's in a separate revenue tight, but that doesn't mean it gets reappropriated, you know. It's just like all other revenue. And-
Well, I mean, I like to see it as a line item that goes back into the general fund so we know how much went back in.
It is. It's in a separate, it has a separate, I forget what, cost code or whatever, I forget what that's called in the revenue line, but it has a separate line, so it's tracked separately. No, it wouldn't be on there, it would be in the revenue report, so.
Okay.
I can get a copy of that, and you can know exactly how much is reimbursed. But what I'm saying, because they appropriated the money in the 2013 budget from the COIT distributive shares, then to my way of thinking, the reimbursement should go back into that fund, not necessarily the county general, because now you're not paying county general out. You're not paying for those services out of county general. You're paying them out of the COIT fund. See what? Because that fund's going to be, I predict that fund is going to be short anyway, so
And
this
so we
might
can
help
then
that.
see the revenue come in against that, or like say.
Well, it
the
just kind
tracking.
of doesn't work that way, but, you know. Because you don't receipt revenues to specific appropriation lines. Revenue is receipted to the fund.
Any other comments?
It was a good report, Ralph.
Great
Thank you.
report. Thank you for the
Have a great evening.
great work. Moving on, item B, tax abatement for Lake Innovative. Diana?
Actually, the first thing we need to do is call a public hearing to order for the tax abatement for Lake Innovative. So I'll go ahead and open the public hearing portion part of the resolution for public comment from the council.
Could we have maybe a recap of
Sure.
what has happened? We've got,
I can give you as part of the public hearing comments. Mr. Lake approached us about a tax abatement for it. The equipment is a one Plate Pro model 1500 cutting machine. And with that, he will hire one new employee. He will retain all the employees that he currently has, which is 16. The salary on the new employee will be approximately $25,000 per year. We passed. Oh, we lost it. Oh, okay. Fuzzy just informed me he lost an employee today, so it's 15 as of today.
Not lost, has died.
Of course, you can't
Lost
find
is not with us anymore.
so then the new figures are retain 15 and hire an additional
One, correct.
additional one.
Will you be replacing the one that?
I don't know.
Okay. Any questions, comment?
Mr. Lake, is this a plasma cutter?
Yes, sir. CNC plasma.
CNC plasma. I'm familiar with those machines. They do some pretty good work.
Yeah, it's a pretty big investment.
Yeah, I can imagine. I won't ask you to say in public what you're having to pay for this thing.
It's right on there.
Actually,
It's on the-
Right on there.
it's
I
public
haven't
knowledge.
gotten to that part.
It's-
Okay.
Let's just say if, because it's written on the, so it's
On the
public
res-
knowledge,
uh-huh.
yeah.
It's $100,000.
If, it's a little less than 100,000, but I couldn't take you out to dinner with the difference.
Okay.
And then the terms of the tax abatement?
We're suggesting a 5-year term for the tax abatement. Actually, Mr. Flum had called me and asked me to run some numbers for him. With the amount that is, I'll let him tell you about the employment taxes, but The amount that will be abated over the 5-year period will be $2,500 and almost $20. And the taxes that'll be paid in that period will be $1,680. So it's a minimal difference.
The 2,500 abated would be property tax.
Correct.
And
Yes.
Well,
the
personal
si-
property, yes.
Personal property,
Yes.
but the 1,680,
Is going to be what he will still pay, because over the 5-year period, it starts out 100%, 80, 60, 40, 20.
Okay.
And then the 6th year, he pays 100% of the taxes. So he does still pay taxes over those years on the property.
But
And those figures are rated on the 2012, because of course we don't have 2013 yet. Those are all figured on the 2012 tax rate.
But Diane, the one thing you got, the court tax that the county ends up collecting on this is almost $3,000. It's $2,962.
On the additional.
So if you add that, the $2,962 and the $1,679 minus the 25, it's a money
We're still in the
project for
black.
county.
Yeah.
County makes money on it over the 5-year period.
we need a few more of those arrangements if we
You
can
need to
make
get a
some
bigger
money.
truck.
What, as part of your open hearing, do we need to hear a motion?
Well,
As a
is
part of
there
the public
any, I
hearing,
just
or-
need to see if there's any comments from the audience. There's none, so we can go ahead and close the public hearing portion, and then you're free to go ahead and take a vote on that if you'd like.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion from anyone on the council?
I make a motion, we accept this tax abatement for Lake Innovative Group, because with these figures, the county does not lose money by doing this. Okay, he says it's resolution number 12-R-07.
Well, it'll have, that was to approve the public hearing. So now we'll have a new number, in which I will assign to this new resolution she's brought us, which will be a 13 number this year.
Okay, I think Mark has made a motion.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mark. And we have three. We have 3 Marks, so. Unless we can get them some nicknames here. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the request for the tax abatement. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I think they've made that motion.
Mark
Next.
1, 2, or 3?
Next item on the new agenda for new business, the CASA Director, Michelle Richardson.
Hello, I'm Michelle Richardson, and I have been appointed the new director of the CASA and Victim Assistance Office. I wasn't sure what I needed as far as giving to the council. The reason why I'm here today is I was asking for the salary rate of the 2 past directors. I wasn't sure what I needed to give to the council, so I do have my resume and what I'm receiving now and what I'm asking for. I don't have those as far as the
You want to
amounts
stick
go.
this back?
Or if you want to just,
Want me to just keep it?
that's fine. The salary that the past 2 directors was receiving is already accountable in our grant. So it's not like that the money isn't there. The money is already in our grant. And we do get paid out of 2 separate grants. We get paid out of a CASA, and then we get paid out of victim assistance, so that's why there's two different amounts. And all I was asking is to be paid what the previous directors were being paid.
How much were they being paid?
Here, I'll have to.
I think it was.
And this is what I'm asking, and the difference out of both programs.
28.
Debbie has given us a listing here that was approved for the 2012 salary ordinance for the starting salary for the director of $28,047. Now, when you were appointed or directed, I think was in November or December when we approved the ask her to go ahead and interview. Did we approve the salary form at that evening? Or is that something we still have to do?
Yeah, you did. You approved a 144, I believe, in the amount. And that was the starting salary, I mean, that was the salary for Megan Nobby when she was in the position, I believe. Because at that point, we didn't have a salary, a starting salary set. And then when you made that determination, then we put it in as the starting salary on the new salary ordinance that you signed at the December meeting.
Questions?
And like I've said, it's already in our budget. I mean, the money is approved already because that's what our previous director was receiving. So it's already there.
It looked to me like what I'm looking at, and I think they were being paid more from the grant than from the county general cost portion. Is it 31.4 is what Mona was making?
Right.
Yeah.
She was, see, it's like I said, it's two different amounts, and I did bring her.
Yeah, this, I'm going by what was on this year's 2012 approved, was this 17,015. So that comes out to a total of 31,400.
See, I did have
Yeah.
this for the CASA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's only.
So the 31,400 as opposed to the 28,047 that's on the ordinance?
Yes.
You have questions?
Let me get this straight. We just adopted all the starting salaries in December, right? And when were you chosen, Michelle, as the new director?
December 6th.
December the 6th.
Yes.
Have you been working in that office?
8 years.
You've been there as the...
I started off as the CASA coordinator, then I moved up to the deputy director.
Yeah.
And then when our director terminated her position in September, I took over that position as director until I was hired in December.
Okay.
So if I'm understanding here correctly, the salary ordinance that we approved was the 28,047.
Yes. And we have already put in our grant for our grant funding, and it was approved at the previous director's salary. So the money is there.
But the budget that
You approved was not at the previous director's salary.
Okay, so you're saying then you're not, how does the starting salary for the director in the salary ordinance that we approved compare with the salary you're making, have been making to now?
I have it on, I think Mark has it's right there on the sticky of what I'm receiving now. I put current, and then I put what I am asking, and then I put the difference. I believe on the CASA, it was like $50.
$58.65.
And then on the victim assistance, it was like 70.
$70.31.
But the money is there in our grant.
But not in the budget.
Well, you would have, if you wanted to pay her more and leave the part in county general the same, either way, I mean, whatever you do, you're gonna have to redo a 144. And then you would, if you paid more out of county general, then you would have to do an additional to increase the appropriation.
See, we're back to
What are your
that,
thoughts?
we're back to that starting salary
That's
again. Here we
starting
go back to that starting salary. If we're taking a starting salary and doing the same thing that we did with community corrections. She's got 8 years of experience and they've appointed her the director, so now she's asking for the 31,000 that's in the budget.
That's all thing I'm
for the
asking for is
director,
what the
but we have a
previous
starting
director
salary
was
of
at.
28.
Yes.
And like Debbie says, you're gonna have to change to 144.
Well, no, let me ask again. Which is in the budget, the 31,000 or the 28,000?
31,000 would be, isn't that in your grant? You
Yes,
said
it is in our
31,000.
Is the
What we
grant?
had in,
I think
That's
it's
in
in
the
both because you had already passed the budget at the time.
before she quit.
Yeah. I believe so.
So we passed that budget with 31,000 as I understand.
Yeah, but so at that point, I'm trying to find it here. You have 14,385 in the grant, I mean not in the grant, in county general for the CASA director, which is the approved amount.
We made an exception last month in the health department with the county nurse because the part-time nurse moving into the full-time position would be taking a pay cut, moving into the full-time position. Is that your situation, Michelle?
I'm sorry.
No, her salary out of county general had previously been $9,224 as the assistant director, out of county general. And then was it the same in?
It was the same out of both CASA and
Yours
victim
was
assistance.
50/50.
Right. The director was just a difference.
So this promotion doesn't mean a pay cut for you?
Oh, no, sir.
Okay.
And we did have a position cut in our office also, and I'm also on call 24/7 by myself for county and city officers in the hospital.
So that department already went from 2 down to 1?
We went from
3 to 2.
Yeah.
3 to 2.
Counting our secretary.
What say ye?
If we do raise this, give her the 31, does that mean that's going to be the new starting salary for that position? Instead of the 28? that we-
Only if you change the ordinance. They didn't check in last month when they signed the ordinance that had the county health nurse in as a starting salary. You increased her salary, but didn't change the starting salary
I
ordinance.
think you made a note, I think you made a notation of that, wasn't that on the notation
It's
about
basically just an exception.
an exception there at that time? Now, you're telling me, Debbie, that we're budgeted, how much have we got budgeted for the CASA? Now, she has a grant.
She's
already been
asking,
approved.
she's asking to.
When was your grant approved?
What?
When was that grant approved?
It's on fiscal year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it runs from July, or
October-
you know, yours is
October through
weird.
September. right?
Yeah, ICJI's are
September.
weird.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And the grant was approved for 31,000 for a director,
Yes.
and for extra help, what was it approved for? Remember, like, whatever her salary is,
Yes.
something like that?
Well, actually, it was less. The deputy director is getting less than what I was getting. Than what I'm getting.
Well, the starting salary
Right.
for, is someone been hired for that?
Yes.
And the starting salary for that is 16,747.
Yes.
I'm seeing 144, I mean, we done.
She done it at the same time when she got
We
permission
did,
from me.
we went ahead and
It
did
went at
that
the
so
same
that
time.
you could go ahead and get one hired.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Thanks, Michelle.
Okay.
Did anyone explain to you, Michelle, what the starting salary was when you?
Yes, during my interview. Yes.
And you accepted that?
Yes, I did. And I did mention to them, I mean, they even knew it was Judge Bush and Ken Fall. They did know what the previous director was making, but they told me that it was already approved for the 28. And they just told me, you know, if I wanted to take a chance and come to the council and ask the council for me to receive the 31, you know, it wouldn't hurt.
Because it's already budgeted.
Because it's already budgeted there, the money's already there.
Yeah, but when we set the budget, Mona Children was still on the job.
Yes.
I don't say this in a mean-spirited way, and I don't blame you for coming in here and asking, but if you know, we have these set starting salaries for these positions, and if we don't start sticking to them, we might as well throw them right out the window here.
But just the way that I seen it is that the money is already in the budget, in our budget, and as far as when we have to redo the budget again, when it comes up, we're gonna lose money. So I just seen that the money was there, so I was just gonna ask for that salary. That's all I'm doing. I mean, I understand that you did already approve the 28, and I was aware of that during my interview, so.
Okay. I didn't
do
know if
understand
anyone
that.
told you
No, I
that.
do, I understand. I'm just took a shot at it, just to see.
Didn't want to misstate anything, so I understand.
Yeah.
Based on,
Well, I just wanted to make sure she knew what she was walking
Yeah,
into.
I did.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
anyone, further questions? Do I hear a motion one way or the other?
Personally, I'm not in favor of changing the starting salary every time we change department head or something, simply because the previous person had been here more years and making more. You know, eventually you're going to get pay raises along the way. I don't know how long that's going to take. We're in a tight right now. And the reason we had to take someone out of the CASA program was because of the budget fix that we're in. And adding to your salary is not going to help the situation.
Can I make a statement?
Could I ask a question?
Sure,
Does,
I have a comment.
okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Russ.
Okay. On the grant, are we guaranteed 100% of that money?
Yes.
Okay. So we're guaranteed that $31,000 no matter what?
Not all of that salary is coming out of the grant, but the majority of it is. I don't know the percentage
It's
right now.
$17,015 from the grant and $14,385 from county general,
Is that a
Is that
year-by-year
where-
basis?
annual.
So
1485
you
is
give
where?
for 2013, maybe 14.
Right.
$14,385.
But we voluntarily cut our budget this year, which doesn't happen very often in those. And also, not to make things more complicated, but you've got somebody with 8 years' experience coming into the position. It's not a starting salary like you hired somebody directly off the street and brought them into the, like me, as much as I worked with the grant, I still couldn't come in and do what Michelle does and have her knowledge. You know, somebody with a master's degree working for that amount of money is, you guys are very lucky to have somebody like that. That'll move up and not just move away.
This is the same situation we had at the community corrections, same thing. It's the same thing.
It's
It's,
been
yeah,
the same
very,
Because you had
all
an
of
experienced person
Yeah.
going into that position.
Same way with
We got
downstairs.
an experienced person going into this position.
but community corrections is a standalone grant.
We do
CASA
pay a
is
little
not.
out of county general on the utilities for that grant, but most of it is all grant.
CASA is part grant and part county general.
Well, we do get reimbursed some from CASA, like $9,000 a year out of CASA. It's not exactly for salaries. What they spend that money on is for, they do advertising to know, let the victims know that they can come to that office for help, that Michelle is on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's a big
Is
responsibility.
all,
No overtime.
is all the positions filled there at that?
I'm
they're
sorry?
Not filled, are they? All those positions not filled because we've done away with one, haven't we?
Did away with the volunteer coordinator.
Okay, and that coordinator's money is in that budget, is that right?
Yes.
It's in the grant
So we
budget,
are
not
sending-
county general.
It is not in
Yes.
the budget that we did.
But it's in
It's
their
not in
grant.
county general, but it is in the victim assistance grant.
Correct.
Yes, but it's the county budget that we'll review. I
And
mean,
that was how much?
I don't have it here.
So if you're figuring it that
It
way.
was basically
then
half, it's
if we figure it that way,
16,787.
then we can use that money. Then they're only taking $5,000 out of the general fund.
Well, it still has to go on that percentage, Russ.
Okay.
I mean, your logic, I would love to go with it, but we still have to go with that percentage of the 17,000 of that salary coming out of the victims assistance, and then the 14 coming out of county general. But even part of the fringe benefits, we also pay out of the victims assistance grant. Some grants, we don't pay any fringe benefits out of that.
Did your health insurance pay down that grant?
A percentage.
Percentage of it is.
Some percentages.
would either of you care to take your, Dale, turn your feelings into a motion that can be voted upon one way?
Well, I'm wondering, do we have time, Diane, to table this for a month and give it enough study for everyone to really understand?
I mean, you can. We would have to go back. If you do decide to raise her salary, then you're gonna have to go back and refigure. That'd be kind of a pain, but we could do it. See what I'm saying? If we leave it this way and then next month they decide to go ahead and raise her salary, then we'll have to go back a month, refigure.
If they make it retroactive.
Yeah.
Well, in your budgeting and grant formulas, I still don't have everything exactly clear in my head, exactly what percentages are going where. And my basic concern is protecting the county's general fund. You know,
Madam President, I move to, since we already have it budgeted $31,000 for her salary, is that right?
That's correct, is that not?
Yeah, it actually
She
is
has the
correct.
experience, she has the education, she's gonna watch with the kids at the pet counter, I move that we go ahead and.
And I'm not going anywhere. I'm Fayette County born and raised, and I'm staying here. So,
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. How about a second?
I'll second.
Okay, been moved and seconded.
Roll call.
We have a roll call vote.
All right, here, I'll get the second in here.
Let Debbie catch up.
Jim, help her out then, or will you, since you're sitting down in the...
Councilman
What
Wolf.
meeting are you in, Jim?
I don't know what meeting, I've worked with Michelle before, she does a good job, but my opinion is, she knew what it was going in at $28,047, and I think if she wants a raise, come at budget time, and be happy to look into it, probably give it to her, but at this time, no, because she knew what it was going to be.
Now, are you withholding your vote?
I'm going to withhold my vote until we see what the
Councilman
authority.
Strong?
And what is the motion?
The motion is to raise her salary to the $31,400 that
Okay.
is in the budget
All
now.
right, at this time, I'm going to vote no on that.
Councilman Brockman?
No.
Who's next? Councilman
Seidel.
Seidel?
Yes.
Councilman Plum?
No.
Councilman Nobby? Yes.
Yeah.
That's 4 noes and 2 yeses.
So, the motion denied. Michelle?
Well,
just like
thank you.
Jim
Michelle,
said.
you do a good job, I appreciate you, but, you know, with the budget and all that, I'd have to.
Well, I understand that. Like I said, I was just giving it a shot.
Well, and as your appointment as the new one responsible for meeting the budget month in, month out, come back and talk to us when, like Jim suggested, when we get in with the budget. You know, there's always good things that can happen, you know, that would change things, but
Okay.
again, you know, when you agree to a particular salary, and that's based on, I think, what we all felt when we approved the
Right.
hiring.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up,
Can we discuss this money to pay the employees
okay,
that I had, and I will.
Debbie
Jen?
has brought together a little addition to the agenda here. Dale? Debbie, you want to pass the information on this transfer request form?
Well, when the positions were eliminated in the 2013 budget, we didn't even think about the fact that the employees would get the first pay, the pay due on Friday. They will have their regular pay to be paid out, which is from December 16th through the end of the year, plus any accrued vacation and comp time to those employees being laid off, and it amounts to 4 employees, and that total is $7,945.66. And I have nowhere to pay them from because their appropriation was eliminated in the budget and I cannot pay them. So rather than do an additional, which we would have to wait till next month to do, I am requesting that we do a transfer within the council budget from those tax cap losses that were budgeted for the final pay for those employees. And then that would, and you have the information on there, what that would mean to that. I think that is the best way to do it.
Yeah,
If
be
you
paid
don't
right.
agree, then we will have to go ahead and pay them and run an appropriation somewhere in the red until an additional can be approved in February.
I move to accept Debbie's recommendation.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Was that the only thing, Debbie? Down to patron concerns? Any comments from the audience? That brings us down to item number 12. Or unless anyone has additional comments.
Yes, I got
Dale?
one comment I'd like to make.
Mark?
This has been mentioned to me about several times by quite a few people. And it has to do with the new store Walmart, where it's located. You know, where it used to be located on Park Road. A lot of people used to walk there. Now there's people walking to a new Walmart on State Road 1 in a 50 mile an hour zone, and they're walking on that small berm. Somebody's gonna get hit. I don't know whose responsibility it is. I think there needs to be a sidewalk put in. Now, I know area planning was involved, and I don't know city council how much they allow Walmart to build up there. Walmart and other communities have been stopped from building because of concerns in those local communities. I think that, and it created a dead zone on Park Road. I think there should have been more effort put in that, but that's water under the dam now, so it doesn't make any difference. But I think the city or somebody, and I know they're gonna say that's State Road 1, we can't do anything about it, but somebody in this community needs to step up and get a sidewalk. Yeah, a person could still get hit on the sidewalk, but at least you put an area for them to walk. That's a safe zone for them. But, and I saw people up there with snow on the road just this weekend, walking down there, and your berm is even less. And at night, at dark now, it's and if somebody, I think it needs, I just want to bring it to the attention of this community that something needs to be done and done now about that. So that's all I'm kind of.
Debbie, I got a question on unappropriated money. When will you know how much unappropriated money that we will have? And what I'm getting at is spending end of what we're doing. If we can hold off on spending for 3 months or whatever, but instead of having any of our people coming in for additionals or spending unappropriated money. So how much money do we have unappropriated in our budget?
Well, I just finished up year end yesterday, so at this point, I did everyone get the actual figures that I put in your box for county
Well, I got
general?
these figures here, but what I'm trying to figure out.
Or do you know where your box is?
Yeah, I know where
I got these figures here. Expended, you got, we'll say for January, revenues 162, expended was 611. Now, that's the total expenditures of our expenses with payroll
That's
and
everything.
whatever.
That's everything, just
Okay.
county general only.
Okay, back to unappropriated monies in our budget. Do you have a list of what we have unappropriated in that budget?
What do you
Because
mean,
what
that we
I'm
have
trying to
spent
get at is, what I'm
unappropriated?
trying to get at is that I think we need to set tight for the next 3 or 4 months to find out where we're going with these budgets and with the money being spent. So what I'm saying is that if there's an additionals has to come up now, don't bring them to the council.
Well, you wouldn't think that fresh budgets
But
would
it
have to
does,
be.
it does happen. We know it
It
happens.
happened last year, you know.
Right,
I mean,
but what I'm saying is, then the unappropriated money, for instance, we'll say for Billy's cars, don't spend that money yet.
Where'd Billy go? Well, money for his cars is,
Is that unappropriated monies?
no, it's in cum cap. It has always been in cum cap, and it is
Okay.
appropriate.
I'd like to know what kind of unappropriated monies we have, in what budgets.
Do
Is
you
it-
mean
But
the
what I'm
diff-
trying to do is say
I
that
guess
what-
I'm trying to figure out what you mean by unappropriated monies.
Well, what I'm saying is that nobody can spend that money unless they come to this council. If it's in that budget for, we'll say $40,000 worth of whatever, what I'm saying is that money, if it's unappropriated in that budget, then it cannot be spent until it comes to this council.
Correct. The only things that you can spend unappropriated on are the cost of going, state called meetings are unappropriated, and that doesn't amount to a lot of money. The other the big unappropriated that we spend the most money out of every year is for 17Ts, reimbursements when a property owner has an appeal and they go back and give them, you know, they had an appeal, let's just say a scenario is they had an appeal in for their pay 2011, pay 12 assessment. They grant the appeal, the county assessor, then, but they've already paid their taxes for in 2012. So say they get $500 back, plus they get interest, and by state, that is paid out of unappropriated. Those kind of things you have to pay by state law. But we call that money back in the December settlement. I think it was like $34,000 and some dollars or something in the fall settlement that we got back, that was withheld from the settlement monies from all of the taxing units, and that was reimbursed to county general at that point. But we there's a lag. It's a year behind on getting the money back. But you do have to pay those things, and you do have to pay for state called meetings, attendance at state called meetings.
Well, I'm just saying that the council, if we're trying to save our money, and we're in this fiscal bind that we're in.
Fiscal cliff?
Well, whatever they want to call it.
Our own fiscal cliff.
Get there.
And if they're spending monies that we can wait and see where we're at by taking another hard look at our budgets in 3 months, just to see what we're doing. But if for these people to spend our money, then there's got to be, there's 7 people here, 3 commissioners. Maybe with the 10, they're saying, don't spend that money yet. You don't have to spend it. Hold it until we see where we're going, what kind of track we're on. So what you're saying is our budget, the budget we passed, is non-appropriated money in there. Basically. I mean, there's some pennies in there, but none of the big stuff.
No.
Well, the unappropriated money is actually your working balance, so whatever your working balance was when you finished your budgets, that's unappropriated amounts. And
when we did the budget, we didn't have, remember when we went through that and I don't even know whether I can get to it now, and we had did, right beside it, I had a spreadsheet that I called up that's like the 16-line statement that kind of will give you, your working balance at the time. But the other thing I think too, and that is, I don't know whether it is or doesn't happen, and that is just to make sure that department heads don't spend money, don't go ahead and commit money to something that they don't have an appropriation for sure. Now, there's going to be some exceptions, like for instance, Billy, he's used misdemeanor funds, which helps out county general, it helps out Cume jail, and he has done that to buy needed equipment for the jail. So those are user fee funds and those kind of things. Right. You need to look at that are going to save your county general. Right. And
what I'm saying is, what I'm talking about is the county general.
Funds. Yeah.
Russ, is that something you can put into a motion, or do you want to go that far?
Well, I'm not real sure what the motion would be, but like Mary said there with the working balance there, if it's $500,000, then that's unappropriated. when we get, now that we've gotten to year end, and then when we get the 1782 notice, then that should be a part of that, and we'll kind of know where we're working from. What I'm looking at here in I guess this is 212 actual. Our revenue, our expenditures for January was $611,000. Am I reading this thing right?
Yeah,
that you give
you
me?
are. Yeah.
Okay, what I'm saying is, maybe there's $300,000 in there, or $200,000, or whatever, that doesn't have to be spent at this time for something that we don't need. I'm not saying, I don't know what it would be. I have no clue.
I'll just give you an idea. Let's look at that expended $7,245,711.13. And I think your budgeted amount was just shy of $8 million, and you did some additionals during the year that put it over $8 million, I believe. Even though you have unspent appropriations, you still dropped your fund balance by $530. $530,000, which is dropping your working balance.
So,
But I will have more time, like I said, I just got year-end figures and, you know, put this together real quick, but
we could perhaps request that Debbie.
Well, yeah, well,
put
for
those
instance, what
numbers
I guess
together.
I'm trying to get to this point that, and I'll say this with like EDG money. There's $60,000 there of EDG money. Does that have to, we can hold that money for 3 or 4 months in case, in case.
well, but that isn't spent out of county general, that's spent out of county share of edit. The, yeah.
I think it would give Debbie an opportunity, you know, some time to catch up. Perhaps she can provide a better answer. But are we still under the same hiring freeze?
You made
Or do
that.
we need to have a new?
Well, it kind of wasn't a hiring freeze. You just had said that don't be hiring anybody until you get a 144 approved.
We did that by resolution.
And you did that by resolution, and that resolution
It's
just
still-
will run
it's
out
still
at the end of
good.
the year. It's still in effect.
So that would, in essence, answer that question, but, you know, there might be others, like you say, for instance.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments? Patrons, Billy, you're
I have a
back.
question, Madam President.
Mr. Strong.
I guess I'll have to refer to the county auditor for this question. I was under the impression last month that after we reinstated a probation officer and a health department sanitarium, that we would need to do transfers for those salaries for the month of January.
That didn't have to come before you because they transferred from another salary line within within personal services line, and that can be done by the department head and does not have to have council approval. If they're transferring from like personal services down to utilities or contracted or something like that, or to a capital line, you would have to do that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we wasn't missing something tonight.
Thank you.
I didn't want anyone to go without a paycheck.
Well, they're just doing a transfer, we'll pay, then we'll transfer it back.
Okay.
So that we don't have to run the appropriation year-end.
Thank you.
Okay.
Motion we adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn, thank you.